You're listening to NFT 365, the first daily podcast on NFTs with your host, Fanzo, talking crypto, blockchain, Web3, non-fungible tokens, metaverse, and...
What the f*** is a non-fungible token?
We'll get to that.
What's up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of NFT 365, and I'm here with my good co-host, Jordache. Jordache, how's it going, my friend?
Man, it is another amazing day. Hopefully it can be another amazing episode. Excited to be here.
So we're kind of like, we're ending the year of 2022, but like, it's kind of funny. Like, I mean, this is a weird, like part of the episode, but like, even like the idea of a calendar, like the end of a year is like a weird notion, right? Like, I don't like daylight savings. It's useless in today's day and age, right? Like time zones are also a weird anomaly that like exists in our world. And I think even like the end of the year, because like Christmas is cool, but like I don't think at the end of the year until like winter is over. I don't know about you. Like for me, like winter is just like, that's always the end of the year. And so like, for a lot of us, we're going to take off time. Things are going to be different. But I mean, let's face it, the Web3 year is like, when does the bear market end? That's when like, this year ends, right? Like, I will be happy to celebrate a new future whenever the bear market. I don't even need the bear market to end. I just need it to settle down and find its bottom so that it doesn't have to be chaotic, right? Like I don't even need it to end. Just stop doing what you're doing right now, right?
Right. I feel like I wake up every day. I'm like, all right, what shoe's gonna drop today? Like I feel like we're in this epoch where it's just this long lasting. But it's I think kind of like what we talked about last episode. It's legitimately weeding out who needs to be weeded out, and it's spurring some innovation that's gonna kind of take shape. But yeah, 100%. Like. I will be a happy camper when there's a bottom, when we know there's a bottom that's been hit, but we don't know the bottom until we actually can look back and say that was the bottom. That's the cool thing about markets is we may be at the bottom right now. You just never know. I'll be able to tell you here in a couple months.
Yeah. And in that realm, right, of like things going crazy, right? I believe Sam Bankman-Fried is currently right now on an airplane out of the Bahamas. Apparently he did not like that he did not get his vegan food in the Bahamian jail. And he realized, U.S. jail probably is better for him. But, in all seriousness, like, I mean, there's not only has there been waves of change in like news cycles, but there's been waves of change with like innovation. And let's face it, some things that are starting to be delivered right now that I think are under the radar in the weirdest of ways, because if you would have gone back 6 months from now, like there were probably like, we want games to exist in the space, right? We want big brands to be deploying actually like planned out, thought out initiatives. We want, Web2 executives and VCs to investing money in the space. We want projects to go beyond the PFP. Funny enough, like all four of those are happening right now. Right. They're happening in such a weird builder market that it's like, it almost is like something that we haven't highlighted enough. So I know we're going to kind of dive into some of that conversation now, because I mean, let's face it, some of this stuff is exciting, and at the least, some of it is at least we are at least setting like a culture, a norm, or a bottom, even in like a bottom of like, what is the bare minimum we will accept for a, let's just say, other sides, right? Like that gas war that happened on other side, like that was the day, like I feel like for me, that was the day the bull run ended. Like literally that day of the most chaotic. I mean, it was the most disgusting and chaotic version of an NFT dropped by the largest native Web3 NFT brand that we have. And like one could argue if it's their fault or whose fault it was. Like I don't even really give a crap about that part of it. But it's more of like, what was everyone excited about on that day, which kind of like ended the bull run. Right. And like, have we seen the fruits of that labor? and not only have we seen the fruits of the labor, but like, how many people that spent all that money on other side deeds that had, how many of them have sold their bold ape? How many have sold their mutant, their dog? How many have sold their other side to either tax harvest, save money, pay back loans? Like, let's face it, like in the weirdest of ways, the market that they capitalized on, and I'm speaking about Yuga and Otherside, what they capitalized on back then was so powerful. Yet, would you argue it's pretty much been squandered to where we're at today?
100%. Like if you think, I mean, and to touch on these, like the gas, and I'm just thinking from an investment standpoint, right? Like if I paid, well, I don't even remember what the mint price was on those things, right? And I know they're an ApeCoin or whatever it was, but it was a couple thousands of dollars. I think
it was like $2,800 USD, I think, for the mint.
Okay. So, and then you're going to pay, people are paying a couple grand in gas prices, right? So you might be in for $4 to $5 grand at that point in time, USD, fiat side of things. And, like that hurts. That's all I can say is that hurts, because I remember, we were in Ohio in June, right? And the market already crashed. I remember day two, I walked up to you, I was like, I just bought another side. I finally got my other side, right? And I was like, oh, I got a hell of a deal on it, right? It was like at 2 or 3 ETH at that point in time when ETH was cheap, or, relatively still is cheap.
Yeah, you bought it for what people paid gas for.
What people were getting gas for, right? And so, and I just wanted to get into the ecosystem, right? I don't have any apes, I don't have any mutants, I don't have any dogs, I was like, this is going back to, we talked about in the last episode. This is me just betting on the creators and betting on the ecosystem and the resources they have behind them that, it's going to raise all ships in that ecosystem. But I 100% agree. I think Yuga, in a sense, they had such luck on timing, both from when they minted the Bored Apes back, in 2021, in the perfect storm that was around that at that point in time for them to be able to do that, and what they've been able to build. And they had 3 or 4 months of crazy bull run leading up to 2022 that got them, skyrocketed floor prices. And then obviously, we can talk about their tactics all day long, whether they're right or wrong. But then it led into, the other side, which, going back to what you were saying, was, everybody's waiting for that first company to truly, truly launch that first metaverse that the perception of that is, right? And we're looking at it. Okay, Yuga is coming out with land, and Yuga is about to launch their own metaverse. They have it's a $4 billion valuation. They just raised $450 million in, was it May or April timeframe?
April.
Like, if they can't do it, we're in a lot bigger trouble. So, like, of course, people were jumping on that. And you got to remember also, this was, ApeCoin dropped before that, obviously.
Yeah,
and you got to remember.
Yep. It dropped, I think, February. February. Right. Actually, no. I know when it dropped, because it was when my wallet got hacked. It dropped March 11th, right? March 10th,
that email. Yeah. Right. And so, and you think about that, like, how many millionaires did they make with that coin drop from those? I mean, and that was liquid. Like, that was people that could actually, they could hold their Bored Apes, so they could let go of some of their ape coin to get some of that liquidity back. And so it was such a perfect storm that this is what I was talking about. I'm like, you can't catch lightning in a bottle. Like, I don't know if there's ever going to be another Yuga Labs or another, and there may be in the future, in the next evolution of this industry, but like, they caught such lightning in a bottle with the timing and the way they've been able to do that. It catapulted them to a whole nother level that I feel like we talked about last time. All these other NFT businesses have been trying to replicate and trying to catch up on. And as from a consumer side or an investor or holder side of things, 100%, man, like those people that got in on that mint, like you said, tax loss harvesting all day long at that point in time, right? And because I mean, you got other sides in the 1.2, 1.3 ETH, if I remember this, and that's like, even that I've taken a hit on mine that I've acquired, right? But I'm in it for the long term.
And I remember telling you, like, dude, you got a hell of a deal, right?
Right.
And I think at the end of the episode, we're going to talk about what Yuga did that I think is like positive, right? They have like some really big announcement. We'll tap into that, but we're talking about like big brand, big conversation, right? One of the things that we all know, like, I remember the very first NFT NYC I went to, Artifact was like like Nike. Like, I mean, let's be real. I mean, I probably have spent like, I think we're both like, the amount of money I've spent to give Nike over the years. I mean, I'm not even sure like if there's a brand other than like a car company, right? Like, I've owned 5 Jeeps.
Big purchases,
like,
right.
What other brand have we spent continually from like teenager to in our late 30s, 40s? Like, Nike is it. Like, I mean, that's a brand of all brands. Like, so what's your take on Artifact, where it's at now, their most recent updates? Give people a little taste of that, because I think for not a lot of people, like, I mean, I was mad I missed Artifact at the beginning, and then it dipped, and then I couldn't see the value, and I'm like talking about kicking myself then. But like, what's your take? Give us a little landscape on Artifact.
Yeah,
for those that aren't as familiar.
Well, I'll tell you, 100. Like, you got me thinking how much money I've probably spent. Gave Nike, man. I mean, my heyday, I think I had 90 pairs of Air Force Ones at one point in time. I had, I couldn't tell you how many pairs of Jordans I've had over the years. And, and it really, until I got to college and I was like, oh, wait, I got to actually start paying bills. I can't just spend all my money on shoes now. I got to start doing the other stuff, right? And so 100%. So, obviously I was saying with you, when I saw, with RTFKT coming out in that collaboration or the partnership acquisition, whatever you want to call it, with Nike, I was like, yo, they can do some damage with this thing, right? And if you're listening to this episode right now, I would encourage you to kind of even just look at the whole ecosystem, because they got a hell of an ecosystem they built out right there. It's complex, and it's going to take some time to wrap your head around. And I think that's something just NFT businesses need to be aware of, is like, as you continue to build and layer on and layer on and layer on as you're growing, you got to remember there's still people entering your game in the first quarter. Like, you may be in quarter 3, meaning you may be 2/3 of the way through, or you're 2/3 of the way through the game that you're building. But there's people coming in at step 1 that you got to make sure that it's easy for them to onboard. If not, all you're doing is just moving the same people through that game. And that's something I know for me. I think we talked about another project that you were in previously, that I was thinking about getting in. That was my biggest complaint. I was like, man, I don't have the time to sit down and learn the gamification side of things. Like, I need to know the rules of the game that I'm playing so I can play to win, in a sense, right? And that's kind of how I look at RTFKT right now. But the big launch they just had just a few weeks ago was their crypto kicks, right? And this was like, when I saw these, and they gave a preview down at our Basel. I can't talk.
I always mess it up both ways.
I don't know. I'll call it basil. I like basil on my pizza. But all jokes aside, there was an interview and they gave kind of the preview, and I was like, okay, those are kind of cool. So here's what happened though. Like, and I think there's a lot of lessons I want to get your take on this too. Though, is so people minted this Monolith 2 NFT. Was it back in April or summer time frame, or maybe that was a transition, but it turned into this Lace Engine NFT, right? And this Lace Engine, and you got to remember, people are paying 4 ETH, and this was back before the market crashed. People paying over $5,000 for this NFT, and so they've been holding this for 8-9 months in their wallets, and then finally the crypto kicks are launching, right? This in real life physical shoe that has these auto laces, kind of like from Back to the Future. It has these lights up. You charge it. It's going to be a part of their Move to Earn initiative kicking off this year. So people are pumped. And then the price drops. And then we look at these shoes, and and you can see it. If you go look at this Lace Engine chart, you can see it leading up to the 2 days before launch or the announcement. It was selling for 1.6, 1.7 ETH. People were buying those things for. There was almost 400 ETH of volume, and then it dropped to 0.2. And then right now, I think currently it's like 0.03. And here's why. And this goes back to what we were talking about on our last episode on 367. People were expecting of some sort of value for buying this NFT that they were going to get. And what it turned out to be was these shoes, normal price, the average person, the public price was $1,500 to $600, depending on kind of what model you bought. If you held this NFT, it was $100 to $300 off. So it was like a coupon. And so you're sitting here like, I just paid, potentially these people paid $5,000 for a coupon to get $300 off a pair of shoes, right? Misalignment of value, like off the bat. And then on top of that, to compound that, and this is where I think RTFKT, it's so surprising that they didn't have somebody to think through this. These shoes have lithium ion batteries in them. You charge them legitimately. The same batteries our cell phones have in them. There is regulations when it comes to shipping, that you cannot ship these to any country you want to. So it came down to, hey, we can only ship these to the US. People all over the world bought these NFTs expecting to get these shoes in some form or fashion. So let alone now they're pissed off that they got a discount code. And now you're like, yo, I can't even get them to ship to my country. So like from a business standpoint, you got to sit here and ask yourself, am I doing what's best for the people, some of my most loyal customers, or do I need to figure out a solution to the problems that may arise? Because problems always arise. But like, it goes back to, we were talking about before too, from a value standpoint. Hold on, I just gave you a whole bunch of money, and now you want me to give you more money? Like, I'm one of your most loyal customers. I'm thinking, like, I don't own any, so full disclosure. But like, this is what I'd be going through my head, because I almost bought some. We were on a group chat. I'm like, should I buy these? I'm hitting up my sneakerhead friends. I'm like, can I flip these? Can I get a couple pair, flip these, offset this, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, do I really want to spend $1,200 on a pair of shoes? Like, really? Like, it might be cool from like an artifact standpoint. Like, hey, in 2 years, I got the first crypto kicks. But I'm sitting here like from a deploying my capital. Am I going to even want to wear them? Am I even going to want to have these things touch the ground? Or are these going to be a straight investment? And then on top of that, if I was an investor, if I bought this NFT, I'd be like, yo, like maybe you don't get them for free, but dude, like there needs to be something. If you looked at people are spending multiple thousands of dollars and you're going to give them a couple $100 off, asinine, like asinine to me.
My expectation was, I expected to have to pay like $150 to $300, not $150 to $100 off. And I expected those that had the NFT to have them a year before they went public, right? Now we're like, and a question I think we have to ask is like, this is a product of this backwards upside down funding model that has existed in NFTs. And the saddest thing is, who do we think we could trust when it comes to deploying capital and saying, hey, if I'm buying this, even if it takes months for them to deliver it to it, at least I know they're not going anywhere. It's freaking Nike. I mean, of all of the brand, I mean, and I will tell you, like, I mean, damage control was there, right? I mean, like, holy hell, they rolled this out, and like the first noise was like, wait, you can't even ship it to my country, right? And like, and for those that like are like plug your shoes in, like my daughter has the roller skates that like the wheels pop out of the bottom. Those plug in at night. Like she plugs those into the wall at night because they have batteries for the lights, and she can like double tap and the wheels come out and stuff. So it's not like the idea of like plugging your shoes in and like shipping with like batteries is like new. And like someone even said, like Nike has hats that have battery chips in them for like Bluetooth sensors. So like this isn't like a groundbreaking, solution, but yet they didn't factor in international. They also, I think the presentation of it from a standpoint of like, they didn't really put out anything, like 2 teaser you mint this, you get 2 teaser videos, and then you get the video. And then, I mean, I will say, like, this is how you know that they were like damage control. When Phil Knight doesn't do just about anything anymore.
He's chilling.
Homeboy Phil Knight jumped out and like he does a video like where he's like, I'm gonna sign some of these shoes. I'm gonna sit here and talk about like the virtual reality and the AR component of it. And rightfully so, right? And like the question then becomes like, and I think this is probably a whole nother episode we could do in the future of like Artifact as a whole, I feel like hasn't lost brand trust as a whole. The sneaker drop has, but like for me, like in a way, it's like, how am I now confident that Nike won't just shell this investment? Because Nike's bought billions of dollars of things and never turned them into anything. Like let's be really clear, right? And like that scares me like on a whole nother level. And I mean, as sneakerheads, as people that like love like the space, like even though neither one of us had one, I wanted people that invested their money to get them first, to feel like they were, because like it provides the coolest use case ever for NFTs. Like, 100%. Hey, we need to build a new sneaker. We have people that already pre-funded it. We have people that we can ask for their feedback on what they want. We have people that are going to be promoting the living hell out of it because they spent so much damn money. And like, I mean, they literally had what every sneaker brand would kill to have for a launch, and then
flopped it.
I mean, holy hell! What a disaster.
And I think you brought up 2 very, very good points. The lack of launch behind this was crazy, because you don't know. I mean, I can't imagine how much money went into the development of this. Like this was a heck of a project to be going. And then I don't know who, like, I feel like they like, hey, now we're ready. Let's go make a couple videos and here we go. Like there should have been build up over the last 60 days leading up to this point when they were going to be launching this. Right. And I think you brought up the other good point was there is so many other ways that you can reward or add value to your holders, to your people, without, because it's a physical product. Of course, there's cost associated with this. This isn't just a piece of digital art that there's not much overhead, right? There is manufacturing hard cost to this. So like I said, I wouldn't expect anything for free, or if there was, maybe there was a raffle for the holder, whatever. But like there was going to be some cost associated with it, right? But like you said, giving them early access in the sneakerhead community, bro, that's huge value. That's huge perceived value because now I'm the first of the first to have this shoe that I can go talk about, or I could flip, right? There's a lot of people in the game just to flip the shoes, right? And you need, and I don't care what anybody says, you want those people flipping in your industry because whether it's Nike, NFTs or sneakers.
Nike is the exact benefit of every
100%.
Sneakerhead flipping that has ever existed in the world.
100%. 100%.
The sneaker market does not stay at 150 plus USD for all these years if it wasn't for this ridiculous secondary market that you and I play into, love, enjoy. Like, I mean, like 100%. We are both part of that, right? And like
100%.
For them
fully
to
aware
miss,
of it.
yeah. For them to miss the mark on like, I mean, Nike right now, and this is like December, is teasing their Super Bowl ad. I'm going to argue they spent 30x on this deployment of Artifact than they did the Super Bowl ad. Yet they have a rollout for the Super Bowl ad. Like
100%.
I mean,
100%.
What in the,
I don't know what was going on in those strategy meetings, right? That it'd be interesting to be a fly on the wall. But you said, like you said, the PR was in hyper overdrive those next couple days. But I think I think they did a good job, coming out with a potential solution for the hub to be able to ship those, and you got till May if you're international to figure that out. But I still, and maybe it's just how like my frame, but like, they still didn't solve the problem. Like, I feel like they should have they gave them a partial solution to say, hey, we got this hub that we're going to give you holding to figure it out. But like, I would argue that they should take that one step further from a customer loyalty standpoint of, hey, we're going to help actually get these to your front door if you're international. Right. And I don't know if there's any regulation behind that, but like, or what the things, but it's like, I feel like there's one more step they had the opportunity to take. But then the other thing I would say too, though, is I think this also brings up, and if you're an NFT founder or if you're involved in any of this business, I think just the perception of appearing greedy can kill any momentum that you've built out inside of your community. And I think that's what's happened with this Artifact launch was the appearance of greed with the coupon code, quote unquote, and then and even then they really didn't address the price point. And when they came back out, right? And so like that's where it's like, I don't know if they feel like they need to justify the price point, but I feel like they should have at least addressed the elephant in the room. And I think the only thing that they did was, hey, we're going to drop our royalty from 10% to 5%. Cool. But that's still not addressing why are these shoes costing $1,200 for me, that's somebody who just spent $2,000, $3,000 for this NFT. So you're telling me like I'm all in. If I'm all in, I'm paying basically $5,000 for this pair of shoes that I wanted. Right?
And it's not only it's like sank costs because I've been minted this thing 6 months ago, right? Like I've held this NFT, like so like that's even worse. And like I think the question we have to ask is like, is it greed? Is it naive? Is it assumption that Web3 people will just kind of bow down? Like because like if they would have asked me, and like they would not have asked me, but if they would have asked me on how they solved the international problem, I would have said, hey, they're going to pick 6 events in 2023 and have 3 of them in the US, 3 of them international, and tell every person, you register and you tell me you're coming to that event, I will have your shoes there for you to pick up in person, right there.
Yes.
And guess what? You could do a party at that event that people have to, only Artifact people get in. So then you're covering the cost of like whatever and you have a marketing ploy. You have all the people putting their shoes on. You have content for days. 3 years because it's not me like shipping them to their house. Like Nike's freaking smart. Like they have marketers that can, but like the truth is, the question comes, like someone asked me, was Brian, do you think this is Artifact, the original team, too involved? Is it Nike making like assumptions that, hey, because let's face it, and like this is, we're going to get on to Starbucks here in a second. Yeah. But like, you know who else dropped the ball? There was this game that happened on like the world platform with this guy who now has the world's most popular Instagram post.
Right.
Wearing a jersey from a brand that happens to have an NFT, Adidas.
Right.
And how does Adidas not capitalize on the World Cup with their NFTs? And I mean, the Adidas drop originally was a hot mess, but I felt 100%. Like they did a good job of like damage control, which
Right.
these brands at this point, they're like masters of damage control. Like,
right. Right.
Like, they've done the amount of things that like they've had to like, spend or fix. But if you had to look at what Adidas was investing in, like they said the jerseys on adidas.com for Messi are sold out in every single size, and they have 100,000 of every size. They don't even ship until May, and they are sold until May. And it has the Adidas 3 stripes on it. It's like, I mean, kudos to, Adidas with the Argentina jersey and like picking the right horse and like that whole thing. But talking about like a missed op for, even if it would have been something as small as like a PFP drop for every Adidas holder, they changed their profile photo to support the World Cup and the brands that were, so like, like to me, this is like two of the largest. Nike, Adidas, and they understand our culture probably better than a majority of these brands, right? They understand the flipping culture. They understand influencer marketing, celebrity endorsements. Literally, they understand everything that most of these other brands would not. Yet both of them, in my opinion, 2022 epic fails for both Adidas and Nike. But if they are listening, or someone here listens and sends them, Jordache and I are here to help them out for 2023 strategy. I'm telling you, when I jumped into their Discord for that public damage control, and I was like, dude, they're doing a good job. They're owning it.
Right.
And then when they gave the Band-Aid solution, and I was like,
missed it again.
What? What? And I'm not even international, right? Like this is like, I'm not even in that real. Yeah. So
no, we both could have got the shoes if we wanted to, but like I'm telling you, like as I was watching this play out, like every moment I was like, I'm definitely not gonna get these shoes. I'm like, I'm like the way that they're handling this, I don't even want to. I can't even support this anymore. The way they're handling, but I was happy to see the pushback from consumers.
Yep.
Like I was happy that people raised their voices and they were angry enough that they said, hey, we're going to speak out about this, because like you said, this could have easily just been, these guys are just going to accept this what it is. There was at least enough backlash to get them to respond. Now we can argue about how the response was, but going back to it with Adidas, I think, and even with this Nike, like one thing you said, I don't know how involved was a core Adidas or core Nike team, marketers, their A squad involved in this stuff? Because I feel like, and I think this just goes wrong with a lot of these Web3 brands, even though you look at the Nikes, like that's one of the brands that we throw around a lot because like they're doing so much on the digital space, the metaverse space, yada, yada, yada. I still think it's from an attention standpoint internally, it's still a very, very small percentage of time, budget, resources that are being spent or focused on this because they're still running a multi-billion-dollar business. And so I think we see it in the industry as people in this space. We see it, oh my gosh, we got these big brands focused on us, these big brands playing their perspective of, hey, we're just still experimenting. We're just throwing some things around. We're just, we're exploring more and more like how it is, but we're not. This is probably 2% of our time a month is probably spent on that, I would argue, from some of these key influencers inside of that space. And it makes sense.
The only flip of that is that they value it enough to put Mr. Knight out there to do a video, right? Like in a weird way.
They see the value though. That's the thing. That's why Mr. Knight was saving face.
Now, but the question, like the truth is, Mr. Knight wasn't in the promo videos prior to damage control, right? Like, so let's be like to your point, like because like I know there will be people listening to this and it's like, oh, it's because they don't give a shit about that product. Well, they give enough to realize the damage control required
100%.
The person that is very rarely associated with any. Like I remember people talking about like when Jordan was going through the negotiation and like Knight wouldn't even come out to endorse the Jordans with what like so like. Let's be real. Like there is that there. Now, on the flip side of all of this, we have Starbucks, right? Which, holy cow, talking about brands upon brands. I mean, Nike, Starbucks. What we're missing Tesla, Apple, and Amazon, and we're pretty much the freaking the kings of their space. What was your, I'm curious. I don't think you and I have talked about this even offline.
Yeah.
What was your initial kind of like, Starbucks rolled out, they said it was going to be US only. They called them digital collectibles or digital stamps. They did not use the word NFTs. They talked about it being a phased out approach, but they did talk about it being integrated in the reward system and being something that would be fully immersible in the mobile side. What was your take, kind of initial launch, initial kind of conversation around Starbucks?
Yeah, I think up to this point, Starbucks has knocked it out the park, to be honest with you. Purely from a couple, and we'll touch on a couple points here. I think, and we learned this from the Reddit launch, right? Don't call things NFTs for mass market. Do not call things wallet for mass market appeal, because people don't know what that is. It confuses. They're charged terms right now that people have preconceived notions of those, right? So calling those stamps, calling their wallets passports, is genius, to be honest with you. I think I saw a last stat. I think 5 million, and from Reddit, I think 5 million of their PFPs have been minted, and over 4 million wallets created since July. Like, talk about adoption and bringing onboarding people, huge.
Kudos,
and so, like,
Reddit.
That's right. Cheers. Round of applause to Reddit. Now, when you're looking at Starbucks, who I would argue has probably one of the largest reward programs out there. I don't know. I don't fact check me on that, but I know they have over 27 million.
I would love for someone to pick a different company that has a bigger one. Like, I can't even think of a reward. Like, what other? I think you're right. I think if there is another one,
27 million.
Yeah, definitely not top of mind.
27 million award members out there, right? And I think the last stat I saw when I was looking into this, I think these reward members make up over 50% of their U.S. revenue, right? So that's like, now we're talking from a Starbucks standpoint. They're jumping in feet first into this space, because they understand, look, we have access to 27 million of our customers that make up 50% of our U.S. revenue. How do we do more for them? How do we start bringing them into this space? Like, you talk about jumping in feet first. They're not, and yes, they're rolling it out in a phased approach, which I think is, we can talk about why that's smart. But where they're going with this, if they pull this off, I promise you're going to see hotels, airlines, all these, they're going to be following very, very close behind. There's so many eyes on this launch of these big brands, if they can do this right. And I don't have access. I think you have access, correct? Do you have access?
Yeah, I have access. Yep.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you here in a second about this. But from what just my research and talking to people who actually have been in this space, like, what I love about this, they're combining two things: engagement and sales. That's their whole premise of this whole system. And I think it's beautiful, because if you think about most reward systems that we know today, like, we both speak on stage a lot, right? We got airline points, we got hotel points from traveling quite a bit, right? All those are based off me spending money. Those are all sales-based reward systems. I spend more, I spend money on credit cards, or I spend money at their locations or on their service, I get points. Not do I, hey, let me play these games, let me engage, let me learn more about these companies in a more engaging, immersive way, that I can actually be rewarded for that. That's what I love about what Starbucks is doing, is they're that's that next layer of Web3 that we're going to be seeing from a lot of brands, is how do we create these more immersive experiences so brands can build so people can build a deeper connection with us, because they know more about us. They know more about our products. They understand the supply chain, where the products they're buying, they understand where it's coming from now. Like, it's stories. You're very, very good at selling stories. You know how to do this. If you can tell an amazing story, you can put emotion into it, you can get people engaged, and then all of a sudden now there's brand loyalty. Right. That's what Apple did in the 80s. That was genius, right? They built a following, and it was just where they told stories, and they got this cult following behind them. And now we spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on their products, because I've been a fan for 20 years of their products. Starbucks is doing the same thing with this. And I want to talk specifics about this, but my understanding, and let's talk to me a little bit of how this works. There's like two journeys that happen when you kind of open up this program. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I mean, they originally rolled out in beta, and I wasn't selected as one of the beta members. But and full transparency too, they teamed up with Nifty Gateway as their marketplace holder, right? I am a Nifty Gateway curator. I posted the Nifty Gateway back way, like, any chance I could get hooked up on Starbucks, and they were like, none. And I was like, oh, okay. So I thought, like, oh, I'm gonna slide in the back door. But they rolled out the beta, and like, this is also a lesson for what people like. We've screwed up what beta launches mean, like in Web3, because like beta, for every intents and purposes, for anyone that's been in the tech world, beta is like, we need to test with real people the high, like the max capacity. We need to test every aspect of the tech, the UI, the UX. What how does our customer service deal with things? That's what beta is for, right? And so like I mean the amount of like uproar, like when Starbucks announced like the beta came out, I think it came out 3 Fridays ago.
Yeah,
I think it was like right around Thanksgiving, and people were freaking out, and I was like, well, if they're doing it correctly, they realize that. I mean, that amount of rewards people that they already have would break every new tech system that exists, let alone Nifty Gateway, let alone the blockchain. Like, let's be very clear.
Ask Ticketmaster and Taylor Swift how that goes.
Yeah, perfect example. And Ticketmaster has been around for umpteen years. Should have figured out that solution. The other part of this is they wanted to integrate it directly into the rewards and their app, which let's also face it, breaking that app to drop an NFT project, I won't even. I mean, it would have to be in the hundreds of millions per hour that app would be down. Like it would 100%. Be astronomical, right? Like so, like the risk on that. So, after I think it was like around day 18, I got the email and said, "Hey, you were at the top of our waiting list. We've now given you access." So I was like, "Sweet, I'll check that one out." So I go onto the site and I will tell you. First impression of like the whole journey and the narrative, I was like, oh goodness, they got this. Like it like before I even clicked in the immersive experience, because like I walked through a coffee bean farm, like literally walked through it, clicked on the things I wanted, and even things that weren't like prompted, it would tell you that's what the plants that we planted there a year ago, it takes this many years for it to grow. And I was like, oh, but even their initial story of like, why do these things matter? And they were like, our most loyal customers care so much about their coffee experience that we want them to understand all of the nuances, but we also want to explain, and this is like one of the things I thought was genius. They tied in their investment into farmers, agriculture, and the environment without me feeling like it was an environmental pitch, without me feeling like because there was no pitch, right? Like they had a farmer and legit, like this was someone that is in the farm, like camera, not overly produced. And he's like, hey, what's up? My name is such and such. Welcome to our farm. We're going to walk you through some of the process and how we actually do this. And I'm telling you, every aspect. You walked in the virtual arena. So they're like, go up the stairs to the next path. On the way up the stairs, enjoy how we grow this bean on the side of the mountain. And you literally walk up and you see and they're like, these ones are the most mature. I'm talking immersive learning about coffee. And honestly, I'm a coffee drinker ish. Yeah. But I am not a coffee
connoisseur. You're not a coffee connoisseur.
No, my dad has like the bean crusher, and I'm like, yeah, that seems like a K cup. Like when a K cup existed, I was like, yeah, that's Fanzo's like realm, right?
I don't even drink coffee, but I go to Starbucks. I drink tea, right? But but I think
I'll tell you what, they even integrated that into the conversation, right? Because they integrated like why certain offerings are there, and then they also talked about like where the coffee belt exists, right? I'm talking things that didn't think I would care about, but as I'm like learning, I'm like, man, this is really interesting. Now, this was like the first journey, like as you mentioned, there's 2 journeys, and so you kind of clicked on there. The other thing that was nice, you create an account. I had created my initial account without connecting my wallet because I wanted to be like, what is like the average email? And it was silky smooth because they use Nifty Gateway. Anyone that's bought one of my pieces of art, I thank you for buying my art. The amount of my friends on Facebook that said, Brian, I bought my first NFT on your Nifty Gateway because it was so easy. I didn't need a MetaMask. I didn't need crypto. I created an email account. I verified it. I corrected my credit card. That's the exact same process on Starbucks. So once again, Starbucks partnered with a partner that does this already, has fine-tuned it in Nifty Gateway. Like, tip the hat again. The other part they did was they're rewarding you with points inside of the Odyssey that can be used to buy future NFTs, or what they call the future stamps in your passport. But what they also did that was beautiful is there is an element of, hey, we're going to have randomization kind of raffle type rewards for anybody that shows up every day. So if you show up every day, I literally have it now on my browser. I mean, this is how crazy, right? on my browser, when I open my computer, Starbucks Odyssey is a tab, because each day I get to shake the little snow globe, and it gives me a stamp. And you have a chance to win Starbucks for life, which is a credit every day for the next 30 years is how they have it printed out. Starbucks for 6 months, Starbucks for a month, a free Keurig machine. Like they literally have, I believe I counted 20, they have 12 rewards that you have a chance of. If you get 3 stickers in one of your 12 reward sections, you get that reward. Very cool mechanic.
It's kind of like the McDonald's Monopoly game back in the day.
Exactly, without question. And the cool part is no purchase necessary. Right? Okay, no purchase necessary. Now,
engagement.
The caveat to this is, do you want to have a no purchase necessary of an NFT and earn your NFT? You simply do that by buying 1 Starbucks a week for 5 weeks. What do they do now? They now streamline it, connect it to the reward system, and they tell you, hey, we want to know, like, we don't want our NFTs to be in the holders of like people that don't like Starbucks enough to even go to the store, right? One time a week. Like, I mean, I took my daughters last Friday to Starbucks. They absolutely loved it. Both of my older 2 bought it. I'm going to Starbucks tomorrow. I already had it. Like, I was going shopping for like 2 gifts. I'm like, I'm going to swing by Starbucks, get my second one, right? And so the people that got in on the beta 2 days ago, they were able to get their reward for their 5 weeks. So now the marketplace has NFTs in there. The other thing they've done genius is that you can't buy the NFTs until they are out of like the beta system, as far as buying them outside of that first one. But the secondary market exists today. So you had to wait 5 weeks from beta because no one would have been able to earn it until they had their 5th purchase.
Right.
As soon as their 5th purchase, they airdrop their stamp and they can list it on Nifty Gateway. Now, some people, I think initially, like the first day I looked, there was 162 people that had it, not listed, but 162 that had the stamp. So like, that's my guess on the amount of people that were both beta and bought the coffee on like the very first day, because it resets on Mondays. So like on Monday, they went in, right? 162 people, which to me was like, kudos. Like, that sounds smart for beta. The other part of this is they're like, well, if you want additional raffle points, just add money to your gift card in our reward system. Genius, right? Because for me, they're going at this all like, this is where like the opposite of like the Nike launch that we talked about. Right? They're like, hey, what if people have never been a Starbucks reward holder, and they go through the Odyssey? Let's, if anything, we just make them use our rewards app. Right? How much value? I mean, like, that's ROI check boxes for days, right? The other part of this that I thought was really interesting is that they have some like games that are fun for you hit the space bar and jump, and you have to jump over a holly, and you have to jump up and get your coffee cup. And if you make it to a certain like mark, right? It's like the basic games that we've all played, like from like the Yahoo games style. If you get a certain amount of points, they give you an additional raffle component for each day that you go to the site. So you could earn up to 4. So I played the game, and I'll just say, like, I'm not usually good at those games. Very first try, I was top 10, and they're little, like, it said, it's like, you got your extra raffle. And I was like, on my first try, but it was like a lot of dumb luck. Like, I was just smashing the space bar. I'm like, wow, this is going really fast now. But so I got that try. Then they were like, add to your Starbucks rewards, we'll give you a 3rd try. Got that try. And now the 4th try is I just need to gift someone a gift card in their app, and I get 4 tries every single day to get these stickers to unlock like that separate. And I will tell you, it's holiday themed. It's Christmas, New Year's themed. 100%. So you can already see that they're going to have the Odyssey journey, which is their year-round journey. They're going to have themed journeys to capitalize on their themed drinks, their themed products, their themed engagement. And guess what they're also doing? They're making me come back. They don't have to post announcements in a Discord. They don't have to post things on Twitter, because they incentivize me to show up. And like, I have 2 of the 3 stickers for Starbucks for life. Now, it's probably like Monopoly. Like, I got the 3 easiest.
You ain't getting Boardwalk. Boardwalk's hard to get.
I got Park Place, which like all of us got Park Place. And there's only 9 Boardwalks in the entire world, right? But for me, I put it so much to where it's bookmarked on my thing. And so like, I think for every NFT project, I don't care, you're not a Starbucks. Every NFT project can think about, what are the things I can do to get people to show back up? Because I literally didn't have to subscribe to an email newsletter. Like, once again, kudos. Cause like I was so ready for like the marketers to ruin like the new, cause I was like, oh my God. If it tells me that I need to follow them on social and sign up for an email newsletter to get this NFT,
join our Discord.
Like I was like Web 2 all over again, but it doesn't. And I will say the other part that they did really nicely is that because they're using Nifty Gateway, the marketplace is in USD.
Oh,
so
perfect.
for people that want to go, because like one of my favorite things with with NFTs as a whole is that if you want to go through and buy one because I know people might be listening and be like, but I don't want to buy a coffee every day for one a week for 5 weeks. Well, guess what? I'm clicking right now on their website. I'm clicking go to market, like literally go to market. And right now it pops up. I have to do my 2-factor authentication. So kudos to them again on like, hey, they're going to protect us because Nifty Gateway is really good with 2-factor. So I'm logging in with my 2-factor. And you know what's cool about it is I can buy, right? So like this is for those that are like, I don't want to go through the like kind of like the engagement farming. I can buy one right now. The floor is $299. There has been 11 secondary sales, 225 unique owners. So I told you on Monday. So this is Wednesday when we're recording this. So there was 161, I think, on Monday. 225 people have met the beta requirements, which that sounds about right. The volume so far in the 11 sales is $1,800 USD. Right now, the truth of this is, I don't really know what I get for my holiday cheer edition stamp, right? Which is the end of that journey. Like they haven't even got us that. So there's been 11 sales with people being like, I don't want to wait the 5 weeks. Right. And I don't want to wait for like the utility. But for me, I'm like, hey, this is week 2. I'm just going to do my 5 weeks. But I will tell you, I got that marketplace up because if one of those like someone posted for less than $100, I'm going to snap that. So it's playing into me as an NFT, like let's just say NFT like purist in the sense like I might want to buy a couple extra to flip. It's playing into the person that doesn't want to buy anything, that wants to earn it. It's playing into the rewards person that says, wait, this is additional to rewards. And I will even tell you when I'm there with my daughters and I scan my rewards thing. And I told the lady, I'm like, well, this is for the Starbucks Odyssey. I'm a big NFT guy. And she's like, oh, make sure you look at our Starbucks for life announcement right here next to the register. And I was like, and my daughter looks at me and she goes like, why does that make you so happy? I was like, as like a marketer NFT, like, I mean, that's the experience. And transparently, no skin in the game. I just got picked in the wait list just like everybody else did. I have no Nifty Gateway. I pay to put my stuff on there. I was selected as a curator. But talking about an experience that was done it right from beta to journeys to stamps to announcement. Holy crap, Starbucks.
No, that man, like once you get me excited, I can't wait till I get that email, right? And there's a couple things I want to point out, some of the things you just said. Yeah. But first, my question is, what was the first drink that you purchased in your Odyssey journey?
So I purchased. I purchased the gingerbread sweet cream iced coffee. Was like my very first purchase. Nice. And my daughters, and funny enough, my daughters got like theirs, and my youngest hated the drink that she got. She got like this lemonade tea thing, and I looked at her. I'm like, I just spent $5 for like a thing you didn't like. So my second purchase was to get my daughter a replacement drink, and I'd already drank my gingerbread one because it was like 2:00 and on the last day of school for my daughters of the school year. And then I bought a traditional regular house blend coffee. So those are nice in that purchase. And like honestly, they got that. So I think total was $31, $33. Yep. They got that out of me because of this campaign as well. Right?
100%. This is a beautiful thing about this. Like they're playing to both their customer loyalists, right? That, hey, like in that carrot that they're hanging out. Hey, you want Starbucks for life? Genius. And you know how much that probably cost them? They gave away 100 of those. You're talking 52 drink or 300 drinks a year, 52, whatever it is, like that. Like it's when it comes to their actual true costs, pennies on the dollar that's going to be generating from a value standpoint. But one thing I want to go all the way back to the beginning around this kind of this onboarding experience and this like this core Odyssey journey that they are what do they call the coffee? I have it written down. Some
Starbucks Odyssey, and then it's their journeys, Coffee Heritage and the Holiday
Coffee
Cheer.
Heritage. That's what it was. And I think this is where, and I've done this with clients back in the Web 2 space, especially ones that have physical products, especially ones that have any manufacturing involved. Like people want to know that supply chain. They like if you can bring somebody on that journey from nothing to how does this product actually get in my hands and show who's involved, how it's built out. You go back to the artifact, the Nike. If Nike could actually take me through the development and the creation of a shoe, like I'm already bought into that product. I'm into that journey. I'm into that story. And so if that's the first experience they're going to give you, like you were saying, like, you know more about this coffee supply chain than you ever thought you were going to know about this coffee supply chain, right? But it's a story though, right? And now you remember the farmer who took his selfie video and was bringing you on the journey of what part he plays into the game, right? So like we get so caught up as business owners, like, hey, I got to deliver quality products, but bring your customers along the journey, even if you have a digital product, right? Like you can bring somebody along from the ideation to the creation, to the beta phase, to the launch, to the reef. Like there's so many things that you can bring somebody on the journey on. And Starbucks sounds like they knocked out the park to get you bought in to their product. Now you're bought into the actual creation of the product, not just the end product of, oh my God, this is the best coffee and it's convenient. No, I know where it's made. I know how long it takes for these beans that I'm drinking right now to be able to form to the point in time that now they're able to actually be created into this product, right? Like, so that was genius by them. And I think that's everybody that runs a business can learn from that lesson of think about how your product is created and don't hide behind doors in that creation process. Bring somebody along that journey and get somebody to be bought into that journey. Then they're going to have a lot more loyalty to you, to your product, to your offer, to your brand for a long periods of time. So I think it sounds like not only did they do that, they upped that production level and that immersion level that I think Web3 is going to allow a lot of brands to do now. Is now we get to start talking about different immersions, not just 2D, where we're so used to just dealing with 2D, watching things on TV or being able to, see things in print or whatever it is. So,
and something to throw on that, right? Like it was a metaverse-like experience, but guess what? I did not have to do. I did not have to create an avatar.
Yep.
Because let's face it, I'm getting in there to learn about coffee. The last thing I want to do, I don't even want to connect my Ready Player Me avatar. Like I love that avatar that I have. Right. That does not have any use in here. It also gave me free to roam where I could click around and go where I wanted, right? Like
choose your own path, choose your own adventure.
And it had the ability to skip through, right? Like because I will tell you, I got in there and I'm like, I'm going to drag these videos to the end. Like, I mean, just like I took college, like, I mean, I just give me that completion stamp. And all of a sudden, like, this is how good the quality was that I like scanned through. I'm like, wait a second. Like,
what was that?
That video. And it's like and she's like, it's like selfie cam video. She's like, so this is why I'm walking on the beans and moving them this way. And then it's her talking. I was like, wait, why is she walking on the bean? Like, I almost started, I was asking questions that I had no plans on asking. And it was so immersive that like, I walked up the stairs. I walked into the factory, right? I walked behind the thing. And then I even walked, here's the cool part. I walked even in the store that they have at this, it's in Costa Rica. So it's their Hacienda Alsaca.
You can win, and that's when you can win a trip to that if you get a stamp, right?
Yes. So they're giving, and they said in the first 6 months, I think they're giving away, I can't remember what their PR, I think it's at 100 trips to that coffee bean tour, but like just even it calls Coffee Farm Tour. Explore the origin of coffee with a virtual tour of our Starbucks farm in Costa Rica and come back to test your knowledge. Because that's the thing I didn't throw in there. That they did give you a little quiz and you could take it as many times as you wanted. But so they allowed you to fast forward the videos, but they still wanted you to take the quiz, which to me was like, okay, I like that. Like, and like it's 5 questions. Right. And I will tell you on one of them, I just went through to try to guess them. I got 4 of the 5 wrong. Yeah, good job. But they gave me the right answer, right? So I memorized it. It was like A, B, C, A, right? So I was like, boom, 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 boom.
And think about what you just said. And from a marketer standpoint that we try to do for brands, our own brand, if we want somebody to learn about us, everybody has an about us page. Everybody has an about me page. No one reads that stuff. No one cares about when you post about yourself on social media, but they just gamified sticking their values and the things that they want you to remember about them, their product and things. They gamified it and they brought you on that journey. Now they're quizzing you on that. Like now they're giving you homework on this because they want to reinforce that into your mind from a branding and marketing standpoint. But so I think this is what brands need to start understanding is this is the opportunity that you have with Web3, with blockchain, with NFTs, with metaverse, all this stuff that we're talking about right now. Yes, it's the underlying technology that no one wants to talk about, but like these use cases, these experiences, you can't replicate that very easily in the world that we operate in right now on the mass adoption. These are the opportunities that we're going to be able to have and brands are going to be able to have as we continue to adopt this technology. But this is also why you see these big brands experimenting right now because they're trying to find this right mix. I guarantee you Starbucks did months and months of user tests, UI tests, UX tests that I think a lot of people skip over in this space, especially UX, UI and design standpoint, that they've refined that to the point of giving you an exceptional experience down to the smallest details. And that's just the onboarding, right? Yeah. And then we're moving now into the genius part of the engagement. You know how hard it is for somebody to not only download your app, keep your app on your phone, open your app, not on a daily basis, but like on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. Now,
or even a purchase basis, right? Like how many times do we have these great rewards on our app, our phone? Like every time I go to Home Depot, never remember that there's a Home Depot rewards ever. Like it doesn't even cross my freaking mind, right? Like, but yet, I mean, like, and just to clarify, I might have misspoke earlier too with the two journeys, right? Like the coffee heritage one,
and the coffee one,
yeah. The heritage one, I have to do the 5 purchases over the week. The Christmas one that I did, only thing I have left to get my first NFT, my first stamp on the holiday cheer is to just go into the store and buy a gift card. So I forgot to mention they allow me to order online, so now I'm using their mobile app. And then the other one to get the NFT is go into their store. Who the hell is going into a Starbucks and only buying a gift card?
Right.
No one.
But you see what they're training you in exactly what they want you to do. They want you to use their app. They want you to get into their store, right? And but they gamified this thing. This is the genius behind all this stuff that they're doing. But that's the big difference between, I would say, this and a traditional rewards program is this is the engagement side that no one deals with. Everybody just focuses on the sales side. So like that holiday journey you were just talking about, buying once a week for 5 weeks or whatever, that's more of a traditional loyalty program that most brands are used to. This engagement side, now I'm training you on how to be the best customer I want you to be. Genius. So I hope if you're a brand listening out this, I hope you are paying attention to what Starbucks is doing, because this is where, like, do not get competitive and start pulling the, like, being thinking this is a negative because someone beat you to the punch or something. Like, this is great for this whole industry if Starbucks can pull it off to this, because all this is going to do is raise the bar, the level of what do we expect as consumers. And this is going to push innovation. This is going to push better experiences. It's going to be pushing better opportunities for us as consumers. So we should be cheering from the rooftops for Starbucks. We should all be using Starbucks. Like you said, I'm not a coffee drinker, but you best dang believe I'm going to be in there. I will be walking into Starbucks. If I win a trip to Costa Rica, I will even drink a coffee.
There you go. That's the win right there.
But,
and like, there's so many fundamental question on this.
Yeah, let me ask you. So that point system, I love how they're doing that, because they're giving you instant gratification every single day, right? They're letting you shake the globe and getting raffle and winning something. I win something every single day. Are those points? Is that point system? Do you think is that on-chain points, or is that are those off-chain?
So they're off-chain for sure. I think they're because the other thing is the certain journeys have these certain time limits, right? So like the heritage one, the main one has like a 365 days, but the holiday one, I just looked, I have 12 days remaining, right? Which makes sense because it's a holiday cheer, but I've earned 300 of my 375 points. The cool part is those 300 points go to my main account, and I have a total of 600 points between both journeys, right? So at some point, because I was in their piece, I'm able to use the points I earned So even if you don't complete a journey, this is the other piece, right? They're rewarding for people for going along. I get the stamp if I go buy a gift card. But even if I don't go buy the gift card in the store, I'm still rewarded for going there, and we'll be able to use those for buying, using those points to buy something. So the question will become, can I buy an NFT or a stamp with those points? Or can I only turn them in for maybe a Starbucks gift card, which, let's face it, like they have enough product suite that like, they could pretty much work their way anywhere. But to your point, like I think that it's a pretty neat balance of on-chain, off-chain, where like the stamp is on-chain attached to a wallet that doesn't have to be a wallet. It's a passport, which means all you need is your email. But then there also are points that are traditional gamification, which I think for most people, like when I click on if I click on the benefits one, they have a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3. And so it says unlock level 1 when you have 1,000 to 3,000 points. So I don't know what level 1 Odyssey gets me, but I know that right now I have 600 points and that I'm very close to having 800 probably by the end of the next week. And I will be 200 points away from whatever level 1 is there. So it's layered gamification without complicating
100%.
it. And I think without doing the Nike, which is back to the last one, nowhere in there is it selling me too much. Because I will tell you, like, if I knew that it was like level 3 and they're going to give me the Starbucks for life for the first 100 people, I would be like kind of like a little bit like overly hyped about like getting that. But the question is, could they deliver that down the road? Like, they don't know if all of a sudden this isn't as adopted as they wanted, which is like what I think Nike did wrong, right? Like Nike is like, we're going to sell this NFT. We're going to pre-sale the shoe. Oh, with the cost of the shoe is way more than what the NFT raised. So we're just going to give you a coupon of like, that's not even attached to like the price point that you paid for the coupon.
Right.
So like Starbucks is doing it right. Like they're managing expectations, layered gamification, but not overly committing, which I think is the most beautiful part of the whole thing.
And I would add what you just said too, though. It's that fine balance between going true maxi Web3, blockchain, NFTs, etc., versus slowly dripping and training people, the 27 million people on this. And we've talked about this before. Pretty soon, we're not even going to know we're interacting with this technology, right? And I think this is what's happening in that Starbucks app is there's going to be a big percentage of those 27 million that don't even realize that they're dealing with an NFT. Don't even realize that there's things happening in a wallet, right? Or on a blockchain. So it's like, that's going to be the cool thing about this is we're going to get away from eventually talking about the underlying technology and actually talking more about the experiences and the use cases and things that you can do with that underlying technology.
To your point real quick, the only time people are going to care about it being an NFT, and they're not even going to know it's an NFT, is the marketplace. But the coolest part about this is back to ownership. Why do NFTs matter? Like, I tell you what, like Delta Airlines, right? Like I'm Delta whore, right? No question. Right?
You and your connections.
I know. I take connections I live out of the Atlanta airport because I'm a Delta whore. But the thing with Delta is I can sell my points back to Delta to get something, or I can gift them to a friend. But there is no marketplace. There is no ownership.
They set the price. They set that price on you could sell it back to them.
So if I finally gave in to Jordache and Delphi Cat's idea that I shouldn't be doing layovers and I switch to a different airline next year, I've accumulated all of these miles that are technically, I have to still go fly that airline, right? Where in this case, you could go earn all these things with Starbucks and then sell them. So like in the coolest of ways, whoever, like I looked at the marketplace, the last sale, right? The last sale was $271. Someone just got $271 for a stamp. They went through and learned about Starbucks. They bought 5 weeks of coffee, my guess is, or they went into the store, bought 1 cup of coffee, and they bought a gift card, right? And now they just like ROI of like total time. What other reward system?
$54 a trip they could have spent and broke even on that sale, right? So I guarantee they weren't spending $50 a coffee trip on those 5. But like you said, 100%, you can actually. This is the beautiful thing about that digital ownership. They start once somebody awards those points to them or that stamps them. Starbucks can't take that back. Starbucks can't say, "Hey, this is expired." Starbucks can't do. You have ownership of that, and then, like you said, there is going to be a market because you already know what's going to happen. there's going to be a couple of these people. I say a good chunk of these people that they're going to be, it's just like the sneakerheads. I want to collect every single stamp that a Starbucks ever has released. I want to have the full collection, right? Can you imagine what that stamp's going to go for Starbucks for life if somebody wanted to sell that one?
Or,
right?
or let alone this time next year when they say, if you have all 5 of our holiday stamps, right, we're going to give you for Christmas a Keurig with Starbucks, Starbucks Keurig. If you have the first 5, what does that do? The people that got like 3 that came in late are going to go back and buy it. Who does that reward? Those of us that were in early. Even if you gave up on it, you could still benefit down the road. Like, I mean, the potential for them, because they could even piggyback it on their pumpkin spice that comes out next fall. All pumpkin spice lattes that are ordered, you can only order 2 per customer unless you have an Odyssey stamp from last year's holiday. And we're going to let you order however many you want. Like, they can even do it to where it's not even giving something for free. It's like unlocking something that we all already want, right? Like, geez,
and I would even add, what if they came out with a flavor that you could only get if you had a stamp?
Ooh.
Right. Like, so like there's that's
peppermint mochas next year, only for the stamps from this year.
Right. And so you think about this, like how much flexibility and options this gives Starbucks from rewarding people. Like this is changing the game in the loyalty space, because now instead of here's the points, you can get these certain things based off of how many points you accrue, which remember was only based on how much money I spent. Yep. Now I can reward people for being engaged with my brand and being engaged in this experience, and I can start slicing and dicing however I want to. Because you think about, like, as you were talking, like I kept picturing in my mind Pokemon Go. Right. Think about the different the journeys that they can take you on when they integrate AR, because it will happen. AR will be integrated
without question
at some point in time. And so it's like this is laying that foundation. Now they're going to have so many options, on what they're going to be able to do to take it to the next level. And I'm so excited from an industry standpoint that how this is being rolled out and how it's being created and the experience is given people. Because if you asked the beginning of this year, hey, how do we get 27 million people to start using NFTs? Like, this is the opportunity that we're exposing this technology to 27 million people. And I would probably argue 80%, if not more, have no idea what an NFT is.
Yep.
Like,
and I'll tell you Starbucks. What, the other part of this, and as we, definitely round of applause. I went to the store, scanned my rewards to buy my thing. And I will tell you, I at the time believed there was going to be an 80% chance that I would go back onto the website when I got home and I have to refresh and I have to type in my receipt or some ridiculous, because that's a whole nother, like, I'm using point of sale reward. I got back, I went to the thing and it said, congrats for your first purchase at the store. And I was like, wait a second. I just went to the Web3 Odyssey landing page an hour after I left the Starbucks with my daughters. And it not only connected the dots, it knew and said congrats. So, like that, like the fact that it was, and it was the same, like, this is the other thing I was worried. I scanned it and I was like, oh, do I have to scan something different than my rewards that I normally scan for Starbucks? She's like, no, Odyssey and rewards are the same thing. I was like, because damn well there's other ones that are like they want to connect the dots on the front end. Like, how many people are scanning our Odyssey? Make them scan a second QR code. Screw you. You can figure that out on the back end, right? Because it's pretty much a very easy point. They've
already trained 27 million people how to scan through this app. Why are you going to make them retrain all that stuff, right? That's and I will tell you right now, that's like what you just said around their POS or point of sale system. Knowing how archaic that industry and that software is in that space, being in that space, I had a business in that space a few years ago. It is asinine that they could be able to pull that off. Like, that is insane. Because even the best case scenario now, it's usually like, hey, your points will be updated in 24 hours.
Right.
Like, that's, you see that a lot with restaurants. Hey, if you just purchase, your points will appear in 24 hours. Why? Because their POS sales has to get updated to the mothership that then has to update the database that then is going to push it back down into my mobile app to be able to update my points in my mobile app. Them being able to, so this is what I'm telling you, is like them thinking through all these little details of this full experience, front end, back end, and that user experience. Like, I'm so excited now, even more so, to be able to check this out for myself. So Starbucks, you did
Right, so
you just got yourself another coffee sale.
There you go. There you go. Nice job, Starbucks. So let's finish this episode on another exciting note, I think, for the space.
Yeah.
And it happened to be a pretty big name CEO coming into a pretty big CEO role in the Web3 world. And we were giving Yuga a lot of crap earlier. We were talking a lot about the Nike and the big brands dropping it. But this news, when I saw it, and then I got a text from my dad who doesn't care about NFTs, but he saw it on his Fox News and was like, wait, this guy is the CEO of what? Just left it to do what with those monkeys? Like that was my dad's text. So yeah. So what was your take on the new CEO hire?
Man, Mr. Daniel, man. So like Activision Blizzard, right? Who he was COO for, like they made waves earlier this year with that $69 billion acquisition by Microsoft, right? And so if you haven't been in the game space,
with a B,
capital B, that's a capital B, right? And like, if you haven't been in games, Activision Blizzard is one of the top gaming companies in the space. Like this is the Nikes of the world of the space, right? Like, and so when Microsoft bought them, you're like, holy crap, like this is huge, because this is going to not only amplify Microsoft's Xbox business, they obviously have Minecraft, they have all these brands in the gaming space. Like, okay, this is going to be big. Now, obviously, there's government things that they're figuring out and DOJ investigations and the acquisition, whatever. But this dude was the COO. This was the dude that was hand and foot in this acquisition deal. He was the CEO for 2 years. So not only you're taking one of the premier gaming COOs into Yuga, which we know are building Otherside, which is a gaming metaverse. On top of that, this dude has 16 years experience at Google when it comes from e-commerce. Dude basically just Google. Right. He basically set up all of Google's Asian operations. And now on top of that, he has e-commerce experience at where he did M&A experience. So like you think about all these skill sets Daniel has that is going to be able to come into play and help shape what Otherside's potential has. Huge. And let's just throw a cherry on top. Dude has a law degree from Harvard. Dude has an MBA from Harvard. Dude has a BA from Princeton. You know, some small schools here. So like talk about an A-squad player adding to be the CEO of a $4 billion business inside of this space. Everybody in this space should be standing on their chairs, giving everybody a round of applause and high fives, because this dude can take Yuga to a whole nother level.
But wait a second, Jordache, isn't Yuga the company that is under SEC, FCC investigation? And aren't NFTs and crypto going away because no one with like smart money and smart mind? There's just a bunch of like overweight, orgies happening in the Bahamas from the CEOs of these companies. There would never be like, why? I mean, no one's smart with a law degree, with a literally a resume that just and the best part was I saw him speak. They did a partnership with IBM 2016, 2017. Yeah. I saw him speak. He wasn't Blizzard CEO. He was like on the board of something that was speaking there. And I remember him being so like it was a Peyton Manning interview and then him. And this is how much I remember it, right? And like I don't remember very many people I watched speak, but he was so like his narrative on the future was not like overly one way, did not sell you on like his background, but he had like this approach that was like very much like I remember feeling like, wow, this guy is tapped in, and he's tapped in a way that he's looking at like, because I remember his part of the conversation was like gaming and data to be used to fix healthcare. And because they were like, well, how do we get people how do we better understand humans, right? We need to gamify experiences. How do we understand gamification? We have to work with those that gaming, right? Like there was like a big thread there. And so like for everyone that's gonna, sitting around your holiday table, or all of your friends that use Sam Bankman-Fried or Sam Bankman-Fraud as the example, and be like, dude, cut bait, get the hell out now.
Right.
I mean, a dude with that resume. And he went to a company that is under investigation. Like
Right.
he does not take that job
Right.
with his
Right.
law degree if he
Right.
hasn't done his due diligence to be like, we're gonna set the new precedent for all digital in the future, because that's what I believe Yuga's gonna do with this
100%.
use case. Like the greatest company that we could have had to be attacked by the SEC was them,
because they have the resources to fight it, right? That's the thing, and they have the expertise to be able to, and the resource to bring the expertise, a la the Daniels of the world, into this place. It's because we need. This is what's, and I'm not going to go political, but this is all these people trying to make regulations. They have no idea what's going on in the space. They have no idea what the tech is underneath this. They legitimately are reading briefs and trying to make decisions based off that, right? Or they're listening to SBFs of the world to try to create regulations of this, like literally. And so it's like Yuga being able to have that seat at the table. Yes, they're under investigation. Yeah, no one ever wants to be underneath the investigation. But gosh dang it, I am happy they are if that was going to be somebody, because I feel like they are going to do what is best for the industry. Of course, it's going to benefit them. I would be, but it's going to benefit the whole industry at the time. But like you're 100% right. Daniel's not leaving his cushy. I'm not going to say cushy. His COO role of a company that just got acquired for $69 billion to go to this company if this is a fad, this is a fraud, this is a scam industry, yada, yada, yada. You can name, like, dude's not putting his reputation on the line like that. Dude's not taking a financial hit like that. And so,
and you imagine those Congress people, what they did for like Sam Bankman-Fried and like what they did. Imagine when this guy sits down at the table,
right?
All of that like mockery, all of that, like, you're going to tell this guy that, oh, you're playing in the area that's only good for money laundering and for sex trafficking, like what that idiot did at the Congress.
Right.
There's it changes the entire narrative
100%.
because they go from attacking what they don't know and don't understand to being like, oh shit, I think I probably should start to learn this because this guy is getting involved in it. And it like, I mean, Daniel, we're kind of like building him up in that, but it's more of like what it represents at a greater macro scale
100%.
is so freaking cool. And kudos to whoever on the Yuga team made it happen, right? Like, cause like we can bury a lot of that, like whole like management, like a lot, but like it took a lot. Like I'm sure he asked for a lot in like, in like not only what he's getting paid, but in like securities and like, hey, I better be able to control this. I better have transparency act. Like I'm sure they had to pull back the curtain of everything. And the fact that they did it and got that, like him, and I don't know if he was the first on their choice or their board, but it doesn't really matter because like you said, everyone, like, I mean, of all the good things, like we should right now be talking about Starbucks and this CEO acquisition right now and drowning out SBK, Sam Bankman-Fried. Like
100%. Well, and two things on this though, like this also with some of the stuff that's came out about Yuga over this last year, like once again, you would think this dude's going to do his due diligence and not associate his name with somebody that have been there's accusations being made by this company, right? Early on. Right. And so like that's gives you confidence in that. But I would even argue kudos to the Yuga team and the founders or the co-founders to swallow their ego to a point that they say, we need somebody like this to help get us to that next level. Right. And I don't know how that went down, but there's always, as co-founder, we've talked about this before, the people that start a company are usually not the people that take it to the next level. This is a perfect example of this happening of, hey, we took it to this point, and they had I can't remember the lady's name that was she was the CEO title of Yuga prior to Daniel, but it was like, hey, we need somebody who has this experience to help us navigate this next level that we're going to be playing at. That usually doesn't happen very well, especially early stage companies. And this is still, no matter how big they are, these guys are still an early stage company. Like they're a year and few months old. Like that's crazy. So that's the thing that I want to make sure. But the last point you said, here's the thing you don't hear a lot about though. Like we're talking about it. Your listeners are hearing it from us, but are you going to see this on the mainstream news? Why? Because this doesn't evoke emotion. This doesn't evoke fear. This doesn't evoke hate. This doesn't evoke anything that SBF all day long. There's a series coming out by Amazon. Already bought 8 episodes. It's going to be coming out next year, right? About that, right? So like that's where we talk about follow the money. And I would even argue this is following the money because this is following somebody who has a lot of financial risk to make this move from where he was at to where he was going. But also you have to do your own research and not just believe everything, all the headlines that are saying is shaping the whole narrative of this space. There's a lot of good happening once you kind of get past the mainstream media. And this is when I know we'll be back in a bull run, is when we start seeing a whole bunch of positive on that mainstream media side of things. That's when we know, hey, we've finally came out of this bear and there's good stuff happening, and they want to actually cover that. And I'm not against the media. Don't get it twisted. I'm just telling you got to understand how this operates, how this machine operates. And if there's nothing negative stuff gets eyeballs, fear stuff gets eyeballs, hate stuff gets eyeballs, frauds gets eyeballs, crimes get eyeballs. Celebrating a win or celebrating a CEO or a COO moving to a CEO role in this, that's not going to get many eyeballs unless you're in the business space or in this space. Celebrating Starbucks launching their loyalty program when there's probably 10,000 people using it, that's not going into Forbes. That's not going on MSNBC. That's not going, or CNBC. That's not like, so that's where you got to, if you want to pay attention to what's happening on the ground level, listen to this podcast, but also, start getting involved in this space and start listening to the people that are closer to the ground. Don't just rely on that top level narrative, because there's a lot missing from that top level narrative. And this is a perfect example. You're right. We should be celebrating this. And I think just from my feel, I don't know what your take is, but I feel like a lot of people are seeing this as a huge win in this space. And there's people talking about it. It's just not making it to that mainstream.
Yeah, and I think part of that is like we have to go out of our way to make it like overly, right? Like even in a weird way, like I've probably brought up Sam Bankman-Fried. I didn't do a whole episode on it because I was trying to like own the things that I know I need to own, right? Like, hey, like I'm not selling unicorns, rainbows, and BS, but I'm also one that's not going to have to like play into a narrative that was already being like kind of pummeled out there. But like even I was even thinking like we need to like, and this is I think the takeaway for everybody listening here, right? Like we need to find great use cases that are setting culture and precedent and examples that we want to be emulated. And we need to celebrate them, champion them, bring them up in conversation. So when someone says something about such and such, it's not about like proving them wrong. Like, yeah, SBK, like, but guess what he was? The blockchain didn't make him what he was. Freaking, he's a greedy person that was running a company that allowed greed to take over and run that entire thing. But yet it gets narrative here. The crazy thing is, this is kind of like the opposite of a greedy play with Daniel and Starbucks, because he's investing in the long term. Starbucks investing in they took one of their most valued assets in their rewards program and their mobile app. And they said, this technology is so important, we're going to mirror it with it. Right. So I think for everybody listening, let's go out of our way, celebrate these great use cases, hold people accountable. We're not saying like toxic positivity, but we probably need to do a little bit better job of making these the narrative that we're clicking in on Twitter Spaces, the links that we're sharing, because if we want the media to cover it, we have to give them more eyeballs and more reason to do so as well.
100%. You go in with your eyes wide open, right? Like that's the name of the game, right? But this is just even from like an entrepreneurial standpoint, like as entrepreneurs, we get so caught up sometimes with where like the end destination that we want to get to or where we want to get going, or we focus on the negative versus take time like daily, like celebrate the small wins every single day, celebrate the wins, small, big, medium, because at some point in time, those are all going to add up. And I think this is what we got to just keep reminding ourselves in this space of like, celebrate the win of Yuga hiring this Daniel, celebrate the win of Starbucks, even celebrate the win of Artifact, or we just tie this in a bow, that of launching a physical product, the first crypto shoes. Yeah, it could have gone differently. Of course, there's learning lessons from that. And there's a lot of learning lessons from all that, but we still need to celebrate. This was one of the first digital launches on a shoe on that mass scale at that level. So like there's still a lot of celebration, but 100%, like we're not going to paint this as this is, the rosy show, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And we just keep moving. But it just, like I said, for me, I'm always looking at it from that 30,000 foot view of how is my confidence for what the direction and the trend that we're going. And one thing I'll be adding here, outside even the Daniel news and other stuff, I just saw, this was just the other day, I saw we finally hit more VC dollars invested than 2021 and 2022, even through this bear market into this space. Right. So, and a lot of that, and I think over 40 or 50% of that money was invested in infrastructure side of things of Web3, right? Wow. So we're building foundations here. Yes, we may be in a bear market. Yes, all this other stuff can be going on, But I promise you, we're going to look back on 2022 in a year or two and be like, man, that's when everything was getting built. That's when these foundations were laid. That's when pillars were put in place. Now look how far we came, and we're going to be able to look back and connect those dots, which, is going to be fun. So we'll remember on this episode to look back on and be like, hey, remember when we talked about that? Look where we're at now.
That's what we got to do. That's what we're going to do. And just to shout out, I want to thank everybody for their feedback on, the first episode, Jordache, that you and I did. We had a lot of people that said, Brian, we loved that. It felt like fly on the wall conversation between the two of you, and we could take as much as you wanted that. So we just ran this nice little 90-minute episode, and hopefully it was of value to all those that are out there. Please keep sharing out the podcast. Let us know your feedback. Hey, even topics that you want us to discuss or debate. Like I said, the funny thing about it is we talked, Artifact, we talked Starbucks Odyssey, we talked, Yuga, and neither one of us have a ventured interest, or we're not advising, or for me, this was a fun conversation about our love for, Web3, the tech, where this all space is going, but also kind of keeping it real. And we get excited for marketing fundamentals that are implemented in a way that are great for us as customers. Right? I think every Starbucks customer will benefit because of the blockchain technology and how Starbucks is implementing that. How freaking cool is that? And so, Jordache, this was fun, man. This was a heck of a lot of fun. Time flew by.
100. And I one last quick thing, man. I see you have your Steelers hat on, man. I just want to give a shout out to, we lost a legend recently, man, Mr. Franco Harris, man. So give a shout out to his family, prayers, all that good stuff, man, because he was a beast on the field and he was a beast off the field, man. That's a big loss for us as a humanity side of things. Yeah, 70 plus years old, and did an interview yesterday. Was feeling fine, and unfortunately didn't wake up. And it hit my dad. My dad he's only cried twice in my life when both of his parents died. One died, and then the other died exactly 30 days later. And he was in tears today. And it was Franco meant that much to the organization, a stand up, humble human being. So I appreciate you saying that. I think it's just another reminder, we can't take any moment for granted. I mean, he literally, he is planning. He was speaking on a board for a charity tonight. So there was no plans for him to not wake up this morning. And so for all those that are out there, I know, people are struggling, people are going through things, but take a moment, in all these moments, and celebrate the good moments, cherish the moments you do have with each other, and all the things we're doing. And rest in peace, Franco, and to the family. And I think I might end up taking a little journey up to Pittsburgh Saturday night and watch that freezing cold football game just in the honor of Franco on Christmas Eve. So if I do, we can have a little conversation about that later on. But man, I think you should. I think I might do that. Jordache, for Jordache, for Fanzo, thank everybody for listening. As always, we appreciate you. Share the episode out. If you haven't left a review, love for you to leave a review on Apple. I know Apple is really the only place you can leave reviews on the podcast. Give us a follow on the socials. And until next time, my friends, make it a great day. Cheers, everybody.